Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. Quick look here at ICP, touching on the important facts here that we need to kind of be aware of, and just touching on the areas of interest. Specifically, this previous high worked as a new low, roughly 730, and obviously our more macro resistance at 615 as a rough estimate there. So those are the two areas I mentioned yesterday to pay attention to. It has since bounced perfectly off that previous high as a new low. This happens in nice, strong continuation patterns. Keep in mind that, well, what goes up must come down. So we got to be mindful of that. Excuse me. Let me go ahead and clarify something here too, because I want to kind of point something out on the larger time frames, because we got our fib levels pulled up here from the macro perspective. And when we look at fib levels, it's important to recognize that they are predictive indicators. They are not foolproof. So when you see this 1030 mark here at 0.618 fib level, most people are probably going to be saying we're going to turn around at that level, which is probably very true in a lot of ways, but not just because of that, but also because it's an area of confluence from previous support ranges. Okay, so if you can kind of see back here, this level here, there was a lot of support at basically the $10 mark before the price action pulled back. So this is an important area to talk about and to be mindful of. Is not just a magical predictive indicator or some Elliott wave idiot. It is absolutely a real thing here that previous lows are typically retested as new highs. That in combination with us being at an 8 on TD sequential leads me to believe we're going to see some slowing pressure there, $10 being a psychological support and resistance range. We're probably going to see some pulling back here between $9.50 and $10. That's my initial thought. Do you want to short this coin at this point? Definitely not. Super high risk, not worth the effort. Pretty much anybody trying to short has gotten destroyed. So just be mindful of that. That is something that you want to be aware of. Let's take a quick look at the back end data here. And I apologize, I don't have the chart pulled up just yet. Let me go ahead and get these three up here for us. And just to kind of clarify, when we look at the back end liquidation data, it helps us get a gauge on how much further the price could go in either direction based on market manipulation. Basically, that's kind of the premise there. And I'm not a kind of person to try to blame things on market manipulation, but I can tell you though that liquidation events, if it wasn't for the market makers and too many people using too high leverage, it wouldn't even be a real thing. But the market makers know that people average their price out at certain areas and that there's heavy areas of confluence. And those are highly targeted areas by the whales who actually have the money to move these coins. I can promise you it's not people like you and I moving the price of ICP right now. Yes, it's trending. Yes, it's doing well. That's part of it, but it's not everything. If you're curious about the the fundamentals in this coin, watch my video from yesterday. You'll know there are definitely some good things going on with our ecosystem. All that said, though, $8.60, $9, $9.50, these are the areas of confluence here, letting us know we're building a support in the $9 range. So hypothetically, the price does pull back. We're probably likely to see this range hold. Once more, it does require Bitcoin to not pull back super hard, but this coin is also moving independent of Bitcoin. That doesn't matter too much. Liquidation delta is super high. You follow the volume in most cases. So this basically tells us there's a lot more people taking longs than shorts, emphasizing the fact that you're trying to short this coin, you're going against the grain. It's not a good idea. Like trying to walk against incoming traffic or drive on a one-way street the wrong way. You get that weird feeling, right? That feeling should hit you when you try to short a coin like this. All that said, $10 is the upper area, $7 that lower area of significant volume. While there's more to the downside at 7, that's just be our lower local bottom. That's not something to really worry about right now because we are still maintaining a good range above that $8 to $9 support here with the local high and the local low. So all that being said here, don't short this coin. It's simple as that. From a macro perspective, we're probably likely to see some slowing pressure in the $10 range, but once more, that's not enough to consider shorting that level. I would say if you are going to take a short, you could better watch the darn thing close and ensure you're not going to be super greedy, okay? Because greed doesn't really belong in this market. Yes, this coin's doing well, and it probably will continue to progress higher. All the more reason to be more so greedy on a long than a short, right? If you're going to take a short, make sure it's super close. And those are kind of the levels for now. Everything's massively overextended on the daily time frame. 4-hour time frame also kind of reflects that we're over and maintaining above 70 in the RSI. But keep this in mind, folks. Money flow index is above the RSI. Always a good sign when you take a long. That in combination with high volume, which is basically why money flow index remains high, leads us to believe that the coin will continue to progress higher overall. But I think short-term correction would make sense. Just, I think we're probably going to range between $7 and $10 as a rough estimate over the next, 48, 72 hours, perhaps, if the price were to pull back. So those are just some things here. My thoughts, generally speaking, you don't want to consider shorting this coin. It's too high a risk. And at this point, if you're in a long, adjust your stop loss higher. Don't be too greedy, of course, especially if you're using leverage. Spot bags are different stories. Just continue to hold. I'm heavy between $2 and $3 myself with my spot bag, more specifically the low threes. I got lucky on a candle wick though, of course. Anyways, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Comment below. Look forward to work with you. You want to become a better trader? CryptoCache.tech is a site. Link down below for that. We got a lot of new members coming over, so keep in mind there is a limit to how many members can be aboard. But on that same accord, there's no limit to how many people can use Bitunix. Phenomenal exchange, excellent reward bonus here. Be sure to check them out. They're a really awesome exchange. So check them out. We've been with them for over 2 years now before anyone else jumped on board, and I can tell you they've been great to us the whole time. So they'll be great to you. If you've been using them without using my link, go ahead and send me a message. I can go ahead and get you added on too. Anyways, have a good rest of your day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.